Okay, so ways to keep remote workers engaged and connected. So once more, it's a great evening and good evening to everyone. So I'm seeing we have a lot of participants coming all the way all over the world. So tonight we will be getting to know that person, specifically Aurora Denise Aquino. Okay, as she shares ways, best practices, techniques to keep remote workers engaged and connected. Okay, so before we begin, for those who are not familiar with me, once more, my name po is Jomark. So I'm a digital creativity advocate, and supporting us tonight is also our guest sharer this evening, Aurora Denise, is also a top inspiring Filipinos on LinkedIn. And joining me this evening is also a top 10 most inspiring Filipino to follow in LinkedIn. So let's say good evening and please do connect with Raymond uh, Victorino. Okay, I'm pasting down his the link to his LinkedIn profile. So yep, feel free to connect with him. Once more, supporting us, and joining me this evening as we talk about ways to engage remote workers is Raymond Victorino.
Sorry.
Yan.
All right. So, good evening. Yes, good evening, Joe Mark. Sorry for that. It's nice to be back, and I'd like to greet also everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time zone you're in. Well, thank you for tuning in with us. I'm sure there's a lot of things that you can learn from this session.
In addition, joining us this evening, I think she's working in a BPO company. Let's get to know the practices of their company as well. So let's all say good evening to Ice Tolentino to share her insights. Hi, Ice.
Hi again. Good evening. How are you both?
Hi, Ayes. Nice to meet you.
Hi. Yeah, you too. Nice to meet you virtually.
Yes, yes.
Radu, adding in our guest sharer. Let's say hi and good evening to Aurora Denise.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Denise.
It's nice to finally meet everyone. John Mark, I think, we've spoken briefly last Wednesday, but aside from that, I'm very excited to share with you our topic and to ask you questions as well. I'm happy that you guys are, going to be sharing your strategies about employee engagement. I heard some points already. So I think this is going to be a good conversation. Should we go ahead and get started then? I think everyone's excited to hear about this, this presentation already.
Absolutely.
Okay, I am going to be shifting my deck. So hopefully everyone can see the right one. So first, let me thank everyone. I know that we have attendees all over the world. I'm really happy to be talking to you about employee engagement and ways to keep remote workers engaged and connected. I think there are a lot of changes that we can, discuss, a lot of challenges and a lot of benefits as well. Um, so, as I was reviewing my deck, my presentation earlier, I just realized that I have to clarify the first one. So, even though you're not a manager or you're not a leader in your organization, I think this, discussion, this presentation is going to be useful because one of our objectives is actually to understand the common challenges of remote working and the need for employee engagement. If you're a manager, I encourage you to share your strategies. I want to hear them. I want to hear about, the challenges as well, what worked, what didn't work, so we can all learn from each other. If you're an employee, I want to hear about your experiences. I want to hear about your suggestions or things that we hope, organizations can do to help you be engaged remotely. I think, one of the key elements in making sure that we are part of or we have a successful remote, team is clear and intentional communication. And I encourage everyone to join the discussion. Let's make this interactive and let's learn from each other. Together, we can identify employee engagement ways and connect meaningfully with our remote workers and remote teammates. So, first, speaking about being interactive and communicating, let's talk about this question right here. Do you enjoy working from home? John Mark, Raymond, and Ice, I want to hear your thoughts first.
I think John Mark is ready to answer that question.
Okay, so I think I've been working from home since 2014.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so of course my situation is different from everyone else. So uh, I feel blessed and fortunate of being working from home since 2014. Uh, I guess that's it. So how about you, Ice?
Working from home since last year, and then we moved we moved back to the office just this year, and then we went work from home again just this April. Yeah, I'm enjoying working from home because I have the time, even if it's beyond my work work hours. I can still work. Am I workaholic? Yeah, because it means that I am enjoying what I'm doing.
How about you, Sir Raymond?
Okay, on my end, well, yes, definitely. I enjoy working from home because I get to, hug my daughter whenever I feel like doing so, and I can just chat with my wife, anytime. But there's also a lot of things that I miss working in the office. So if it's not pandemic, I wouldn't prefer it to be 100% work from home because
Okay.
definitely there are advantages and disadvantages.
Okay, I think good answers, and obviously, we all have different reasons why we enjoy working from home, right? So, I think let me just proceed with the presentation and just share with you what I've done recently. So, as part of my thesis for my degree, I conducted a study about the level of job satisfaction of BPO employees who are working from home. And if you can see the numbers here, I think people would not be surprised if the average said, okay, majority said average. Okay, it's not so good, it's not so bad, it's fine, I'm okay working from home. 26.7% said high, 20% said low. And I've mentioned earlier that this is going to be interactive, so before I reveal what their reasons are why they enjoy or not enjoy working from home, I would really like to hear more from the people that we have on this session, what their ideas are. Maybe probably, I think Raymond shared why he enjoys working from home, right? And I think it's different for Ice, because there are some struggles there. But Ice, what's your favorite thing about working from home? What's the best thing about it?
Uh, I think for me it's the savings,
Saving. Hmm.
yeah, time and money.
Time and money. Okay, very interesting. So again, let's add to those answers. I'm gonna be presenting our Menti application, and I think someone already gave an answer. I'm gonna be sharing it with you in a bit. So it's menti.com, and the code is 56353644. Let's see. Very excited to hear what you guys have to say. I think we have the first answer here. I think this person said immediate time with fam, very similar to what Raymond shared. No traffic. Oh my gosh, I think everyone can, totally relate to this. And better home cooked food. This is actually something that I can relate to. Let's see what others are saying as well. No need makeup. This is interesting. Money saving is good. Family time. No commute. Quiet working space. Flexibility. Do you guys agree to these answers as well? Now that we're getting more responses, John Mark, probably you can, you're probably thinking, oh, nga, no, we can relate to some of this as well.
Yeah, actually, we can relate to I can relate to all of them. Yeah, especially no makeup and no OTZ for the day.
That's right. So we
Yeah, yeah.
have. Go ahead,
I'm
John Mark.
seeing some participants who commented down.
Sure, sure. If
Uh,
you can read them, because I don't have access to the chat right now, John Mark.
this one is from Trixie. Saves you money on laundry.
Wow.
You just
Okay.
need a good.
we
Okay.
need we need to get more details about that one. Can play
I
with
think the
money.
only challenge with that is you don't tend to get the ROI for your clothes because they're just inside your
Yeah,
closet.
yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
that's true.
But
18
I think
people.
the bottom line for this one, what's the most thing that they enjoy? I think it's the savings,
Hmm.
both their time for their family and also their money savings.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, I mean, we're going to be talking about challenges as well then in a bit, but I think there are some pros and cons. Some people would say they're saving money because they don't have to commute, but they're also paying extra because of the electricity. But I think we can expand on those topics in a bit. I appreciate everyone who answered the questions. We have 23 people sharing here, and I think the number one answer that we're noticing is no traffic. I don't know if this is true to our audience from other locations, but in the Philippines, just to give you context, on a good day, my commute would be anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours, and it's a struggle sometimes. Do you guys relate to that, or am I the only one suffering from traffic before?
Well, I drive, but I think going home from the office before, um, for what, less than 4 kilometers. Sometimes it takes me an hour because of traffic.
Um, wow, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a lot of good answers here. Money saving, being close to family, no need to prep a lot. Okay, I think we can proceed now to our deck. If we go back to our deck, let's talk about what our respondents in the study actually shared. So the first one is less time to commute. So, this is related to traffic. I think no one, I think everyone can agree to this, and this is not a surprise that everyone actually answered less commuting time. Second one is flexible working hours. So, I think for me, in my own experience, a few teammates of mine actually, shared with me that because they don't have to wake up very early to prepare for work, they were able to pick up like new hobbies. They were able to pick up new interests because they have more time now. The third one is convenient working environment. So I guess us being Filipinos, we share our homes with our families, and I think it's easier for us to actually get the support that we need. Home cooked meals is a number one thing that I saw earlier in our mentee board as well. So I think everyone enjoys just being healthy and being able to not worry about what you have to eat. So of course, there are benefits, but obviously there are also challenges that we have. So I would invite you guys again to use menti.com. Let's use the same code. I would like to hear what you have to say about challenges, and I will be sharing the board as well.
Five, 5, 6, 3, 5.
So it's 56353644. I think everyone's in there now. We have 11 responses already.
I agree with the number one answer, internet connection.
Yeah, especially in the Philippines, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It's so unstable.
yeah. Maybe if you are in the first world country, if they have that good internet and stable connection, internet connection, they will not have a problem with this. But here in the Philippines, yeah, sad to say.
I agree with that, Ice. I also experience that from time to time, and sometimes it's embarrassing, especially when you have like important meetings that you have to attend to.
Totally, totally agree.
Right. Something caught my attention here in the Menti board. One of the answers is unrealistic timelines. I mean, did you guys hear anything related to this before? Did you hear any of your coworkers or your employees complaining about unrealistic timelines since they started working from home?
For me, none. I haven't heard of this on our company.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we're setting a specific timeline, but they are uh within the reach. It's not unrealistic because of course we are still humans. We're not robots.
Yeah. Same with eyes on my end. I think the only thing is that for meetings, no, before when I mean, if you are in the workplace, no, and you are to schedule meetings, you have to allot, for example, 20 minutes, 30 minutes interval. But right now, side by side, there are meetings, no, and sometimes there are no gaps between meetings.
Yeah.
So you need to leave a call and then jump into another call right away, and shift yourself to the agenda of the next call.
Yeah, that's right. I think, Raymond, one of the things that I heard from one of the networks I'm part of is that people tend to think now that when they see a vacant slot in your calendar, they can just take that and schedule a meeting because you're free at that time. But obviously there's a struggle. I think you made a good point about having to shift from one topic to another because you need to prepare mentally to discuss about another thing, right? So I think it's one of the realizations that I also have. um, Going back to the board, I can see that less engagement is one of the things that you guys have answered, and I'm happy to hear that because we will be talking about employee engagement strategies on this session today. Um, John Mark, as someone who's been working from home for a long time, do you still feel bothered by some of these issues or some of these challenges?
For my situation, of course, my situation is very different from others.
Yeah.
So, absolutely not, not bothered. But let me just highlight some of the challenges some are facing in the comment section. So I'm seeing
Sure.
here uh, the challenge is facing is frequent unnecessary meetings.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Uh, Before you are given 1 month to prepare, and now it's 1 week. Okay.
Okay, I think it's more of, long working hours and, people kind of adjusting to that flexibility. So, again, thank you so much for all of you guys who've answered and went to Menti and shared your responses here. I will then now proceed to, revealing some of the issues that we have faced because of remote working. So, I will just update the settings again. Here you go. Um, So
Mhm.
factors that affects employees' productivity. The first one is less social interactions. So I guess this is something that's very common for a lot of us because we tend to, share our kind of struggles, our challenges with our coworkers. So for example, if your team used to work in the office and they, tend to share and interact with their coworkers, and they love doing that, it's starting to become a problem when they can't do that naturally. So keep in mind, when you're working from home, you don't really see other people that much. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what's happening. So it's harder for you to, reach out and offer support. And also, I think one of the examples here is that if you're a new hire in a company and you just joined and you're doing your onboarding remotely, it will be harder for you to reach out to other people in case you're struggling, right? Because you don't know like who to reach out to, what is acceptable, how things work in your company. So I think that's also one of the issues that is affecting productivity. No surprise, the second one is longer working hours. I think we're all guilty of this. In my situation, it's harder for me to say no to late night meetings because it's just one meeting. I'm just at home anyway. I don't have to worry about going home afterwards. And in the beginning, it should be fine. That you're doing that because you have more time now that you're working from home, but you also have to keep in mind about sustainability. Are you feeling some stress about that if it's happening all the time? How do you set your boundaries as well? And how do you decline that without, disappointing people as well? Because, for us, if we're very conscious about our work and how we perform, it will be harder for people to just say, I can't attend this one because I have other things that I have to think of. So I think that's is for longer working hours. And the third one is family work conflict and work family conflict. So when we talk about family work conflict or work family conflict in our society in the Philippines, let me just share this with you because I am conscious that we have people from different areas of the world right now. In the Philippines, we have this thing that we call close family ties. So when we are very close to our families, we are very close to our extended families. And, in some cases, we still live with them. We still live with our cousins, grandparents, and there are certain expectations that we have to think of. So this is very, I think, uniquely Filipino, but this can also happen in different areas as well. So in my study, I also focus on this one. I ask people if they are experiencing any work family conflict. And when I say work family conflict, that is how your work is actually affecting your personal interactions or your personal relationships. So let's give an example. It's dinner time. Your mother is expecting you to eat dinner with them, and you cannot do that because you have to work. It's gonna have an effect on your relationship with your family if that happens a lot. And also, when we think about it, in a different perspective, like for example, you have kids, you're working from home, you are physically available and they can see you, but at the same time you cannot engage with them fully, because you have to focus on your work. So that causes stress, and that causes problems when it comes to your family relationships. um Let me pause there and ask some of our co-hosts as well. Raymond, is this something that you're also experiencing, level of work family conflict in a way, or is this something that you have experienced initially and then you were able to overcome?
Yes, thank you for asking. Actually, I've experienced this one time with my daughter because my daughter can see me here working, and then one time, she was tapping my shoulder, and
Yeah.
I think she wanted to tell me something, no, but I was really very busy at that time. I was under stress because I had a deadline that I have to meet. No? So I told her, with irritation that can you talk to me later because Papa is working, no? And then I realized, okay, I'll just ask her what she wanted. And then when I asked her, what is it that you wanted to tell Papa? And then she said, I love you, Papa. So, it,
Aw.
it broke my heart. I was almost in tears, no? So that was at the early stages of work from home, no? And after that incident, I made it a point that every time my daughter has something to say, regardless what I'm doing, no, except if I'm in the middle of a meeting, I'll face her and then I'll listen to her, no, and I'll recognize and acknowledge her. So that has been our norm here, at home. So I think it's also good for you to establish those norms, with your family members, not only with your team or coworkers. So I've learned my lesson the hard way.
Yeah, Raymond, that's a very touching story, and I'm glad you shared that because I think you're not the only one experiencing that as well. You know, I am working from home and I share my space obviously with my husband, and there are instances wherein he wanted to like share some thoughts, ideas with me and discuss with me, and I'm like, can we do that later? And it's hard because normally you would just engage and talk and discuss and refocus, but if you're doing one thing, it's kind of hard to do that, especially if you're working on a deadline. But having those boundaries and also having those norms is actually very important so that people won't have the added stress of having family conflict because of work. So I think that's a good adjustment that you did there, and hopefully, some of our viewers can also do the same in their situations as well. So on the other side of the coin, we have family work conflict, and this is something that is probably very common in the Philippines because we share our spaces with our with our extended family members. In my experience, I've heard stories like employees being asked by their mothers or their dads or their grandparents to join dinner or do some chores, and they're not very mindful of them being in a meeting because you're just home. They don't understand really the change. Everyone is still adjusting. So the numbers here that you can see, 54% said average, so more than half of the respondents actually said they have experienced a level of family work conflict. And I think it's very important to note that, you know, you are as an employee adjusting to working from home, but also your family is, adjusting that you are at home most of the time, and they want to get your attention, and they also want to, they fit into that equation. Now your new workplace is your home, so we all need to be mindful of that as well. um, right. So we've talked about challenges. We've talked about common issues that we have, but I think it's also important to talk about what really makes remote workers successful. So in the Philippines, remote working is something new. For majority of us at least. Of course, there are some one-off situations wherein they've been working from home for a long time, but in other regions of the world that they have been doing this for a long time. So there are certain characteristics that are very important as core or the basics that you should have as a remote worker in order for you to be successful. And there are four different characteristics that I will be discussing. The first one is organizational characteristics. So how do you communicate in your organization? And how do you, achieve and make sure that everyone is aligned when it comes to your objectives? Shifting from to work from home is not easy for majority of us, especially if we're all used to having our town halls, to having our quarterly kickoffs face to face, to having our annual meetings face to face. But keep in mind that even though you're working remotely, your organization should not stop doing these things, and people should still hear the goals, the objectives, and how the company is doing, even though they are working remotely. Second one is individual characteristics, and I think this is an interesting one, because we have to have certain qualities or characteristics in order for us to be successful in working from home. And if you don't mind me asking, Ice, do you have any input about this? What do you think people should have in order for them to be successful in working from home?
Uh, I think I think for me it's number one is time management.
Yes.
Yeah, because he cannot do everything at once. Because like for example, because I also have a son.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, uh, my if my son wants to, mom, I want to eat, but I'm still on a meeting and all. uh, it's really time management. You have to set time and norms when you're working from home.
Right. I think that's a good point. Especially when we're working from home, we tend to get overwhelmed with a lot of meetings. I think it's a common sentiment, right? So I think having that designated time where you can dine, where you can eat with your family is very important, and it will help you become, successful as well. What I normally do is I actually black out, a portion of my calendar if I need to eat, so that people won't even attempt to send me meeting invites. I don't know if you guys have done that as well.
Yeah, time blocking. Yeah, I also do that. Especially when I have where when it's time for my lunch break. Okay, it's my lunch break. I will just I'll just send a chat to all the leaders or to all of my co-employees that okay, I'm on a break, so if you just need something, just chat and I'll get back to you after, but after my lunch break, okay? Something like that.
and do you mind sharing how do they respond to that when you say that you'll just get back to them after your lunch break?
Yeah, actually, they're okay with it because they're always respecting the time of each employees, and I think that's good because respecting one employee's time is really really good in a company.
That's absolutely right. And if we have managers and leaders in organizations, I think we should, encourage them to do the same thing. People need to have breaks as well in order for them to be productive. So thank you for sharing that, Ice. I will be moving on to the next one, work characteristics. So, we have different work types, we have different requirements, and we have different team coordination. And shifting from work from home, you obviously have to also adjust some of those requirements, or you also have to think about, is the schedule really going to work out, and you have to make sure that people in their teams can communicate properly. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have your own, tools to message, tools to, communicate and also stay connected. But I think, that's one of the most important things that we need to provide. The last item that we have is technology characteristics. I think this is everyone's favorite because everyone was complaining about internet connectivity, power interruption, and even even issues like that. I think if you're part of an organization, I think you need to actually assess and measure if there's any sort of any support that you can provide to your employees. Do they have the backup internet connection so that they don't have to worry about that? Or in cases wherein like there's a power interruption, and obviously corporations cannot just give out generators because it's too expensive. We need to think about how do we make it easy for employees as well. We don't want to punish them just because they're having issues with their connectivity or they're having issues with their power. It's beyond their control. So how do we make it easy for them? We probably need to just talk to them about adjusting their hours, making up for time after they have restored their connectivity. So things like that will definitely help employees to feel that they are supported and they're not, in this on their own. Um, I think Raymond, earlier you've mentioned that you're also part of a technology company, right? So I'm just thinking, do you have any unique, strategies about technology, making sure that they are staying connected?
I think what we have right now is enough to ensure that everybody is connected, no, from a technology standpoint. So we're utilizing Microsoft Teams. You can have it on your laptop or on your mobile phone. No? But to me, actually, the real challenge is establishing human connections.
That's right.
So because being connected through technology does not necessarily mean that you are connecting at the human level.
That's actually, a good point, Raymond. You can interact, you can say hello, you can do all your stand-ups online, but building that camaraderie, building that rapport actually takes time. It takes more than, you would need more than technology to do that. And it's also something that I hope we can cover in a bit. We have another slide for that. Okay, so now that we know the characteristics to actually make sure that remote workers are going to be successful, let's talk about employee engagement. The reason why I talked about the characteristics first is because, of course, as workers, as remote workers, we need to have the basics in order for us to be successful. Before we think about employee engagement events, strategies, recognition, and all of those beautiful things that are very important, we need to make sure that the employees have the basic, the core. Otherwise, whatever employee engagement you have will not be as effective. So let's first define employee engagement. It is actually the strength of mental and emotional connection employees feel toward their workplaces. And I'm not going to be preaching to the choir. I think everyone would agree when I say that engaged employees are happy employees, engaged employees are productive employees. And when you have, engaged employees, they can meet the deadlines, their outputs are great, they're happy with what they're doing, and you also don't have to worry too much about attrition and people leaving. So I think, everyone's very much, curious, and everyone is very much into making sure that they have the right strategies. But things have changed. We're not in the workplace anymore, we're not together, it's not easy to see our workmates. So we have to make sure that we have the right strategies. One of the things that I wanted to share with you today is developing a culture of feedback. I've said it a lot of times today that it's different because you don't see your coworkers. It's different because you don't see your employees. You don't see your managers. You cannot just tap someone's shoulder and say, I need help, or I'm struggling with it, something. So we need to develop a culture of feedback. It's a way to listen and to communicate effectively with employees and managers. So the first one that I have here in the methods is onboarding. So when we talk about onboarding, we have new employees joining the team, and most of them, they've never met anyone in person before joining. So it's a bit difficult for them to actually connect, and it's a bit difficult for them to actually navigate our organization. So obviously we still need to do onboarding. We don't have a choice, we need to do it remotely at the moment for a majority of us. But I want to make sure that, when you're making your onboarding plans, you have to think about how we're connecting to our new hires. What can we do to make sure that that happens? We need to make sure that we're adding exercises there to just check if they're really following some of the videos or some of the materials that you have given to them. You need to make sure that they have consultations with SMEs in certain topics and certain, discussions, because otherwise they might be stuck in one thing, and because they're not sure on how to get help, they might be just there feeling, sad and lost, and they will be disengaged from your organization if you do that. um, I'm gonna pause there and say, anyone from our co-hosts, do you have any onboarding, tips or any onboarding strategies that you can also share?
Ice would be the perfect person.
I thought, John Mark, you're gonna volunteer.
Yeah. I thought Joe Mark will volunteer. Yeah, for onboarding, we have to set expectations.
That's right.
Yeah, because we don't want the new employees to be left uh to be left alone or whatnot. You have to set expectation to the new employees.
That's right. And that's something similar, Ice, to what you've been doing when you're in the office, right?
Yeah. We just have to exert more effort now because it's virtually.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good point. We need to exert more effort. We need to really check if they understand those expectations, and they can follow what we're asking them to do as well. Thank you, Ice. Second point is pulse checks. This is probably my favorite. So when you're engaging with employees, it doesn't have to be formal. You don't have to schedule a 1 hour one-on-one with them. You can do some pulse checks. So I would recommend this to be done on a weekly basis. It can be something like, how happy are you this week. It can be a question like that, and you can give them numbers to answer, five being the highest, one being the lowest. And I think by just asking them that question, it's easy for you to actually gauge if they're happy, if they're struggling. If they say five, I'm very happy, they would normally share with you a sentence or two about their accomplishments or achievements. That's an opportunity for you to actually reach out and say, oh, I'm proud of you for doing this, or I'm happy that you're doing well, I'm happy that your family is doing fine. Or if they're struggling, you can think about the plan, which is something that we will be discussing afterwards. um 360-degree feedback, I don't know if you guys have heard of this or if you are doing this already, but this is a good strategy to actually get your employees give your employees an opportunity to hear feedback from their peers, hear feedback from managers, hear feedback from clients if they have clients, and at the same time also share feedback about those people. When we're all working remotely, we don't know what's going on with each and every single employee that we have. It's harder for us to understand what is going on in the project or how they are feeling about a deadline. So it would be good to get their feedback about their peers. Is a manager causing them stress? Is a client being too nice to them and they're happy about this relationship? It's actually good to check and get that feedback. Second to the last is annual performance review. Any one of you, my co-hosts, wants to share about annual performance review?
Definitely Raymond.
Yeah, thank you for
Voluntold,
volunteering
voluntold.
me. Well, uh, in my current company right now, no, I think while we have regular performance evaluation, no, but the thing is, the culture that we have and also the tools that support it encourage ongoing feedback, coaching, and mentoring. No, so it's like it would be better to have this regular touch point with your people, no, rather than setting the expectation and then just meeting them, at the time of performance appraisal. So I think you are right, no, Denise, when you said that it's good to have these pulse checks. These are opportunities for you to have meaningful conversation and probably address potential risk of attrition. No, because I believe that if communication is established, I believe that you know um, more often than not, people would choose to stay, especially if they know that somebody is really listening, and trying to address all these concerns.
Yeah, I agree with that, Raymond. And also, I think for annual performance review, your pulse checks can actually make sure that you're meeting the objectives and the employees meeting the goals, because you can check in and make sure that they understand and they're still on track, which I think is a good thing. And additionally, for annual performance review as well, normally what I do is, if we start this process, I would use whatever results are for this year in order to set objectives for next year. So when you hear about employee not being good at something or they can improve on something, we can use that data to actually plan ahead. How do we help that employee to excel? How do we help that employee to actually take it to another level as well? The last method that I have for the culture of feedback is regarding exit surveys. So I think right now we're all experiencing, I don't want to call it a phenomenon, but I really want to, really think that this is getting more and more common. People are leaving looking for different opportunities, whether internally or externally. And I think having exit surveys, even though you're remote, is very, very important. So, if, for example, an employee is moving from one department to another, we need to know why. Not because we want to stop that employee from moving or leaving, but because we want to be able to learn from that employee's experiences. We need to make sure that we're our strategies are actually updated in order for us to, not experience something bad. Like, for example, the reason for leaving is bad, then we need to adjust our strategies as well. We need to listen. And when it comes to feedback, we also need to take action after getting the feedback. So we will be talking about our strategy and taking action. So the first one is measure and react for taking action. You know, this is very important. Let's use the employee pulse checks as an example. So if every week Jean Marc would say 5, I'm very happy every week, very consistent about the level of satisfaction that I have. And all of a sudden today Jean Marc said 3. So how would you react, Ice, if you are Jean Marc's manager?
I would ask, oh, what went wrong.
Yeah.
Of course, that's the first instinct. What went wrong? Because he's doing consistently 5, he's giving consistently 5, and then suddenly for this week it's 3. What went wrong?
Yeah, I
Uh,
think
mm-mm.
go ahead. I sorry.
Yeah. Does he have uh, s- does he have a personal problem, a work problem, something like that? You have to check on the situation that on Joe Mark's point of view. I think something like that.
Right. So you have to do a follow up to check on Jean Marc and his reasons for actually giving a 3 this week. So I let me add to that and say Jean Marc actually shared a few sentences. He said that it's 3 this week because he's having too many meetings. So what do you think should be the next step if you hear something like that?
Yeah, for me, I would ask him on what are the meetings that you think that are taking your time, that you think that are not that important and all. Because if that's the case, we can, uh, I think we can move those meetings to different time and different dates.
Right. I think measuring, understanding what is the problem and reacting to that. So if you see something like that, you would need to reach out. You need to identify what really is causing the problem. And once you know those items already, then that's a time when you start planning. So what is the right approach, or how can we help John Mark? Because obviously John Mark has been a happy employee for the longest time, and now he's feeling down because he needs to attend a lot of meetings. So that's where you need to identify the objectives. How do we help him identify the problem? And of course you should be able to get the right people involved, and this is a very very important aspect when it comes to taking action, because there are instances, I think Raymond is part of the HR, but there are instances that HR or other departments are being asked to create an employee engagement plan. And of course, HR can deliver and will deliver. But if they're not really connected to the matrix, or they're not really connected to, people that are working with Jean Marc, or they are not familiar with, how to help, I mean, with how to kind of stop what is important, why is he having a lot of meetings, it will be harder for them to execute a plan and make it work. Raymond, I want to hear your thoughts about that. Did you encounter anything similar to that, like HR being pulled to do stuff and not getting the right people involved?
Um, well, I can't recall any specific exactly right now, but I think somebody from the comment section also mentioned that the role of the line managers or the people managers is crucial here, especially when we're talking about evaluating, or assessing the person's situation. Because while HR is there to provide the structure, establish processes, and maybe infrastructure, I think it's still the role of the people manager, to execute all these programs and initiatives and inputs, these valuable inputs would really come from the ground, no? And then HR is there, no, to actually gather everything and understand it, deep dive on the data, and work with the people managers to arrive at a solution. Because for all you know, it's not only happening to Jomart, no, but it's already probably a cultural thing, no? So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, Raymond. And I think, people managers, their line managers and HRs are really very important. It's really very important to have that bridge. Otherwise, there's a big chance that you're not going to be successful if there's only, one of those two working. Um, okay. Thank you, Raymond, for that input. Number four in taking action is communicate. So, John Mark, I'm gonna ask you, if you're the employee, if you're really the employee, and you put three and you've been putting five every single week, and Ice, as your manager, didn't say anything, how would you feel? John Mark?
I
Can
think
you
you're on
guys?
mute, John Mark. Yeah.
I got lost. I got lost a bit with the comment section.
Yeah, there's a lot of comments too. I'm
Yeah.
I'm also reading.
So I think, Jean-Marc, the question is, for example, this week you're not feeling very well, but you're not happy this week about your work, but normally you're very happy. How would you feel if you put your feedback there? You told Ice using the pulse checks that you're not doing very well at work, and then she just went quiet.
Of course, definitely there's something amiss, and that will definitely make me very much concerned, because as a personal uh, preference of mine, I am very critical when it comes to, like what you said, pulses. I really prefer that one, and not only those pulse, but instant pulses, spur of the moment things. That's where I get to sense the authenticity and the feelings of my workers and fellow employees. So
Yeah, so I guess what Jean-Marc is also saying is that we need to get a response from our manager, whether it is indirectly or directly. We don't even have to have a plan, but what I said earlier, that she will be checking on Jean-Marc, is actually very important. So you have the data, Jean-Marc is not happy. What do you do with the data? The worst thing that we can do is ignore the problem, not communicate. So if we're following our taking action steps here, we're in step number four, you know, once you have that plan and once you have the right people involved, you have to communicate to the employee. John Mark, this is our plan. We want to help you. These are the people who can help you. And this is what we need from you as well. Because most of the time, when we think of plans and when we are frustrated with our work or with our, situation, we think other people should be taking care of things for us. But the truth is, in order for us to have an effective plan and for us to be effective in executing a plan, there is a certain involvement and commitment that we need from employees as well. So it's very important to communicate and work together when it comes to making sure that we're taking action in the our culture of feedback. So number five is being consistent. I think this is, self-explanatory. Let's not take action, or let's not, work on plans and get right people involved only when there's a problem. When we want to develop a culture of feedback, we have to be consistent. You have to get pulse checks every week, because you don't see people anymore. You don't see how they are feeling or how they are reacting with their work. Let's be consistent in a way that when there are issues being raised and you see the data, and this is a common thing, a common theme for most employees, let's think about strategies and making plans and making sure that you communicate that you care for them and you want to make things right. I think what some organizations are not doing the right thing when it comes to just reacting when there's a problem already. I think when you're doing that, it might be a bit too late. You will be at risk of losing your employees, and that's not something that any organization would want to happen. Okay, so so we've talked about our culture of feedback, making sure that we're not only developing the culture of feedback but maintaining. And now let's talk about some fun stuff. This is where I want to get everyone's input about employee engagement ideas. What have you done so far since the pandemic? And what are the things that you hope that you can do as well? So I have another mentee deck. We're going to be using a different code. So it's 597 55979. I'm hoping everyone can go to Menti if you want your, responses to be anonymous, and if you want to share them, that will be great. I will be sharing the app in a bit, um, so that I can read your responses as well. But if you want to share your responses in the chat box, that's also fine. I think probably Jomar can help me read some of the responses to this question.
Once more, it's a 597 55979.
Thank you.
And I would just like also to add on the take action.
Sure.
Yeah. When you communicate with the employee, please make sure you have the authenticity and genuinely care for that employee, because that employee will surely feel that if you're not authentic or genuinely care on what he or she feels while working from home. And why suddenly Joe Mark uh, gave 3 instead of 5? Yeah, because sometimes there are people that for the sake okay, I'll just do this so that he or she will not be feel disconnected anymore. So yeah, the authenticity and genuine, you should have to be genuine all the time.
Yeah, I agree with that, Ice. But before we discuss that further, I'm sorry about the code. I actually gave out the wrong code. It's actually
1.
92107999.
Okay, so I have code commented down. So 9210799.
Thank you. Quickly catch up. Team building. And Ice, you're absolutely correct about that. The worst thing that can happen is that your employee would think that you're only concerned because of work. But the thing that we need to do is we need to be authentic, that we care about this person, not only about work and how they are performing as well. So four participants answered. Inuman. So for if you're not from the Philippines, this is actually a virtual, event where you drink with your coworkers. I'm not sure
Virtual
if
drinking
you,
session, yeah.
yeah, I'm not sure if you guys have done that before. Virtual karaoke. Okay, this is
Okay.
interesting. Online bingo. John Mark, what's your favorite?
Uh Engagement. So yeah, I prefer the one-on-one
One
thing.
on one. Yeah. Why do you prefer that?
Maybe because of my standpoint.
Uh huh.
I'm the boss, so I prefer I prefer doing one-on-one on everyone. So and yeah,
Okay.
and we do two types of one-on-one. So one-on-one is probably for the pulse check, and one-on-one just for anything that you want to talk about, not related with our job. So we do those two types of thing.
That's actually a good point, Jean Mark, that you made. That when you're having one on ones, it doesn't really have to be about work all the time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I mean, building the bond. So, what do you usually ask, Jean Mark? I mean, you can let me know if I'm asking too much, but I'm just curious.
yeah.
How do you usually approach your employees to make them, open up to you more?
First of all, I typically try to identify the common thing, the thing that he she wants outside of work job, and that's where as much as I can, I try to connect with them. So some of our people, I get to have one-on-one jamming, playing guitar with
Mm-hmm.
him or her.
Wow.
Sometimes playing video games, playing Valorant with them. So those type of non-work related, and also that's the time where you get uh sometimes they say personal stuff with regards to work. That's the moment that they open up, so I prefer that type of engagement with them.
Okay,
If
I
I
think
may
I think
add, Denise,
sure, sure, sure.
yep, I totally agree with John Mark because we people are naturally drawn to another person who is interested, to know more about
Correct.
us, and we really like to share things about ourselves, especially if it's non-work related. And I think it's also an opportunity for leaders, to connect, or find that opportunity to connect. Like for example, uh, discover a common hobby, or common acquaintance, or places that they went. So I think that's also one way, to have that, more personal connection with the person. If you talk about things outside work on a one-on-one basis.
That's absolutely right. You can build the bond by doing that. And I think, in our organizations, I think, we can all agree that we have enough meetings already to talk about work, status, deadlines, and objectives. I think it would be a good, a better approach. I agree with Raymond and Jean-Marc to actually get to know your employees better. So when they start sending out twos or threes in their pulse checks, you actually know to engage with them and make recommendations like what John Mark said. It might be video games. You can encourage your teammates to play video games. You're stressed out, do something like this or play music because you know something about your employee. It's hard to do that when you're remote. It's hard to do that with when you never met the person in person or physically. But there are certain ways, and one of those ways is to actually ask them about themselves. It's not about always about work and always about deliverables and deadlines as well. Ice, what is your favorite here? Do you like the bingo?
Actually, we have on our company at Beyond Limits, we do monthly celebrations. We have different theme every month. So, like for example, last month, that's June, we have our virtual party, the Hollywood Met Gala version. Yeah,
Oh,
because we have our anniversary. We did it virtually, yeah, and it was really a success. And then just this month, we had our employee appreciation day, and yeah, just to take note, we send goodies to all our employees,
wow.
and it's really a surprise. They are really surprised, yeah, and they are happy, and I think that's one of the just give them some token that it's not about how much it is or how expensive it is. It is the thought of the company that they've exert effort just to give you something to express their appreciation to you.
Actually, that's awesome. You sent out goodies to everyone as a surprise. I think that's a brilliant
Yeah, they
idea.
they are really surprised, especially last month on our anniversary. We've sent out a box of goodies. It's really really good. A big box of goodies. It's like a
Wow.
balikbayan box. If you're a Filipino,
Wow.
you would know that.
It's a
Yeah.
it's a big
Nice
box
for
there.
the year.
And
Yeah. And then just this month we've given the employees donuts and bento box, another surprise
mm,
another surprise delivery to them, and they are really really happy.
well, I'm very impressed. I like to hear that, people are getting surprised because, right now we're all working remotely. It's hard to think about something to look forward to, right? And if you get a random surprise from your employers, it's actually awesome. So, Raymond, I think as part of HR, let me just ask you, like for example, I'm one of the employees in your company. Is there a proper way of approaching, a manager or someone from HR about these ideas, about employee engagement, ideas?
Yes, thank you for asking that. Actually, in my current company right now, no, since we are a huge company here in the Philippines, there are a lot of channels, that you can actually share your ideas. No? We have, central groups that you can reach out to if you have thoughts or ideas on how you can, I mean, what possible activities, no, to have for employees, no, specifically for your tenure, age group, no, whatever, no. And I think the culture is that, it's a very open culture where you can express, your ideas and thoughts, to another person, even to your boss, and even to the higher ups, I think what helps is we don't call each other sir or ma'am. No, we are on a,
Yes.
we call each other on a first name basis, and somehow it gives people a sense of, leveling, that we are of the same level. You don't have to worry about my position title in the organization. So, you can, it's an open door policy for everyone.
That's actually.
I agree with Raymond. Yeah. Because in a BPO setup, we don't call our higher management moms or what. It's because maybe for the employees to feel relaxed and not to be pressured by the ma'am answer. And of course, we adopt the Western management for that.
Yeah, actually, I think that's a good point. Open communication still is the key in order for us to share our employee engagement ideas. Um, okay, so we have, thank you, Raymond, and thank you, Ice, for sharing. We have a lot of responses here. I want to thank everyone for sharing their thoughts here and making sure that we are aware about the different, things that they have, you guys have tried and you guys have encountered before. So, let me just go back to our deck and let me just, share with you some of the ideas that we can probably uh, talk about. That we can probably also apply. Let me just go back. So, um, virtual coffee breaks. I love coffee. I don't know, guys, if you also love coffee, but I love coffee. And one of the things that I enjoy doing in the office before is going to the pantry and getting coffee, because there is that space is where I actually meet some of my coworkers and I can casually say hi. How are you doing? I heard you're working on this. How is this project? And that's something that I really value because you get to connect with someone even for a few minutes. It's very casual. No need to have an agenda. it's, it's one way of networking and making that, connection with someone else. And I think this is something that we still can do. If your companies have budgets, you can send out vouchers to actually have, virtual coffee breaks. And this can be, encouraged. Even when an employee doesn't drink coffee, it can be substituted for another drink or another thing that they can enjoy. Second one is online training. I was looking at the chat earlier as well, and I think some of you guys have answered that you enjoy, having, attending talks and, attending trainings and attending, discussions or webinars that might not be directly related to, your work, but it can affect you as a person. So if you're struggling with probably some, being sad or being down, if there is a training or a webinar regarding that, I think that will help employees to engage because they can relate and they can learn new strategies on how to cope, especially when working from home. Multiplayer games. John Mark, I think you're the right person to ask about this. Can you give us some tips? Give us some ideas about what best multiplayer games we can play together with our team?
ML. I
Is
think you're on mute, Jo Mark.
Definitely ML, but I'm a big fan of PC games, so I encourage them to play more on like Valorant. So because
COD? How about COD?
yeah, because if we're in PC, whenever there's an urgent an urgent work, they can quickly shift to doing their jobs because being in PC. So I prefer multiplayer games using PC. So yep, I'm seeing comments here from our participants who are in online games. So it really is fun, especially you apply um, the techniques of what ICE company is games with freebies or surprise freebies.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, we've done that, and then there are some on the virtual employee appreciation day, we did some awarding, surprise awardings, and that way they will really feel appreciated.
So I am guessing that there's a cash prize for the best team who's competing in this multiplayer game. Is that right, John Mark? Do you give cash prizes as well?
Uh, that would be a good suggestion.
do you,
For discussion.
do you give cash prize, Jo Mark, to your team?
Now,
Wow.
that would be a good suggestion. I'll try
Okay.
considering that one.
I hate to put you on the spot, John Mark, but I think that's a good suggestion, right? And Ice and Raymond would agree to that.
Agree,
Uh,
agree.
So, I earlier was talking about Employee Recognition Day. So it should, being a remote worker, it should not stop us from actually recognizing our teammates, our employees, our, even our managers. Let's continue doing that. That's one of the things that I think should not differ, even when you're working from home. You should know if you're doing a good job. You should know if your company is appreciating you, and it doesn't take too much to do that. You can do, online meetings where you can, present certificates. I think, Ice, you have a bigger event that you're going to be doing, or you did. Can you share more of that Employee Recognition Day?
Yeah, actually, we're doing that on a monthly basis. We have the MVP of the month. Those are the employees, and then we also have for the leaders. We have the captain of the month. So that we're doing that virtually, or and of course when we were on the office, we're also doing that. We're doing that monthly. Yeah, for the employees to feel appreciated, and of course for us to recognize their good job, their um, hard work on their on whatever they're doing or on their task.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to have every month. Wow, that's actually amazing. I might learn something from that as well. That's a good
Yeah, and take
suggestion.
note, there's a cash incentive.
Cash incentive. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So, it's second, not the second, but the fifth one is provide special perks and benefits. So I think ICE is, kind of sharing a lot of things about this. So a lot of those surprise goodies, and I think when I joined the CPHR network last year, I heard a lot of things that people in the HR industry are actually doing. Like some of them are paying or encouraging people to sign up for like yoga classes, and the company would some of the companies would actually sponsor those classes. Some of them would pay for Netflix subscriptions because they want people to go offline and not think about work, because if they do that, they can go back to work feeling refreshed, and they can be more creative, and they can have a different perspective after just relaxing for a little bit. So I think that's a good idea as well. Online celebrations. So if your company, if you used to work for a company who's working in an office, and you had a lot of online celebrations, there is no reason for you not to be able to do that right now online, because you can celebrate birthdays, you can send vouchers to your employees for their birthday cakes, or you can even sign a virtual card, which usually gives to someone who's celebrating an anniversary or a birthday as well. So when it comes to celebrations, I would like to hear, probably Raymond, how do you guys celebrate now virtually with your employees? Is there anything unique that you're doing that we can learn from as well?
Yeah, actually, just yesterday we had our HR town hall meeting. So it's like a structured, event that is done virtually. So there are organizers and people take turns, in organizing this event. And what I love about this is that, there are games and you get to connect with team members that you don't get to interact on a daily basis. And aside from that, we also have for our own team, and it's really very distressing, to have all these events, like having an online karaoke, or just playing games and throwing jokes and punchlines during the session. So it's really a great way to prepare you for the weekend.
I think that's an awesome idea that you guys are actually taking turns in order to plan those celebrations, so that there's variety there, and more people are involved, you get more ideas as well. I know, Ice, you guys are doing a lot of these online celebrations. Can you talk about your favorite one?
Yeah, my favorite one was the anniversary that we've done last June, because we had a Hollywood actor or singer guest.
Wow.
Yeah, it's Apple the app. Yeah, we everyone in the company was surprised by his greetings, and also uh we gave a lot of surprises. And take note, we've conducted Got Talent, TikTok of the
Oh,
Year, yeah, and the groovy coolest groovy, and we've all done that through Zoom virtually, via virtual celebrations, and it's really really good.
that's awesome. I think we're learning a lot of things from Sir Raymond and Miss Ice today, and John Mark as well. Um, Last on this deck that I have is provide allowance for work from home setup. I know organizations right now, they have different situations, and obviously the economy is not it's not as great as before, and we all have to adjust when it comes to financial situations in the company. But if your company can provide certain amount of allowance for work from home setup, I think employees would appreciate this, be it something that they can use to pay for electricity bills, or something that they can just enjoy for themselves, so that they don't have the burden of buying all their chairs or tables, or having the work from home setup, is, I think, an awesome idea as well. I know that we're almost we've covered a lot of things, and we only have probably a few minutes left, but Let me end this presentation of mine by sharing this picture that I actually got from Hello Sunshine. It actually says, "Don't forget to close all the tabs in your head too." I think this is very important, and I feel that a lot of people can relate to this. That when we talk about employee engagement, we think about a lot of online activities, a lot of fun things, a lot of meetings, a lot of discussions, and connections with our employees and employers. But sometimes, the best way to engage to your employees or to engage to your people is to make sure that you encourage them to take a break and you encourage them to, refresh and take care of the things that matters to them outside work. Because by doing that, people would, actually appreciate that you're not thinking about them only in the work context, but also you care about their well-being. So I'm ending my presentation on that, and I'm gonna give back the controls to Sir Jean-Marc.
Okay, going back to our awesome comments from our participants. So I guess now is the time to extend to extend the time because of this very powerful and engaging comments. What do we have, Miss Ice?
I think Miss Ice is
On
on
mute.
mute. Yeah.
Sorry. There are some here that it is important about to agree about boundaries with regards to personal time.
That's absolutely right. I think
Mm-hmm.
we have experienced a lot of instances wherein we're asked to attend meetings outside our work hours. And I asked you earlier, Ice, about blocking your time in the calendar and how people respond, because hopefully, our viewers would understand that it's okay. It's okay to do
Yeah.
things. It's okay to say no, and you can make up for it if it's not urgent, or you can do it today, but tomorrow you will be starting your work a bit late. I think that's a good
Mm.
suggestion as well. It's all about collaboration and give and take between you and your managers or your organization.
I would also like
Uh,
to add to the. I'm sorry. Yes.
yes,
Yes,
before I
Raymond.
leave,
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to add
Go.
also that the role of the leaders are very crucial in this types of, I mean, in this norms that we wanted to establish, in our teams. Because if the leader does not drive this or does not support this, then it would be very difficult for the team members to observe it as well. So I think the leader should be the main drivers of this kind of culture or whatever norms, no, and ensure that these are being observed by every member of the group, including himself.
That's right. I agree with that as well.
So thank you guys. Need to drop
Thank
from the
you,
call.
Thank
Raymond.
Thank
you.
you,
Thank
Raymond.
Enjoy the rest
you.
of the evening.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm seeing here a comment. I wish they do the same in academia. Teachers
Mm.
are already getting sick mentally and wish the system was kinder to them. Hmm.
Yeah, because I think not all. This is, I think, for the technology wise, because not all of the teachers knows how to use or utilize or maximize the technology that we have right now.
Yeah, and I think when I asked Raymond and Jean Marc, I think I also asked you earlier about how is it, what is the best way to approach a leader or a manager or a boss about your needs? Because I think it's all about communication. Some
Yeah.
members of the team should also say that I'm having a hard time with this. I need training on this. And if you get that message across, most of the time you will get, a response or some support. And I think what we also need to kind of encourage our viewers to do is to reach out to the right people and make sure that they are expressing their issues. Otherwise they will be alone and dealing with it, and they will be burned out and stressed out. So As a leader, John Mark, if I am one of your employees, I think it's good to, get an example out here. How do you want me to, or how do you want people to approach you and ask you for help if they're burnt out or they're struggling with something?
Um, I forgot the animated series wherein the characters are yellow. Minions. Okay, okay. I remember there's a guy there, Gru, and I recently discovered. I think Gru was based on Kevin O'Leary. So please comment down if you know Kevin O'Leary. Okay, we're going to give you a prize if you know Kevin O'Leary. So he's one of investors judge in Shark Tank. Okay, so I think this quote came from him that he gave his mobile number uh, is announced publicly to his employees. That's how reachable
Mm-hmm.
he is. And what happened is, and he told all of his employees to notify him, to freely notify him anything with regards to business. So what eventually happened is he gave out that number, but seldom do people contact him. So that's the funny thing. But I guess that act really is admirable from him, because you're saying to everyone, hey, here's my mobile number. If something else is needed, or if there's an emergency with regards to our company, here's the number. Contact me. And I guess that aroused respect also with the subordinates, that you are reachable and reach me, respect my time. If it's really important, you have this number right away. So that one, Kevin O'Leary, grew. Learned that from him.
Yeah, I agree. It's all about open communication. So I think, as employees, we need to encourage our viewers to reach out and try your best to communicate your needs. If you don't have pulse checks yet, it's there's nothing wrong with, coming up with a suggestion. It might help not only you but other members of the team as well.
Maybe just to add, if you're a leader, be someone who they can trust,
Yes.
because not all members or not all employees trust their leaders. This is reality. Be someone, be that leader, not a boss. Be the leader that they can trust. The whatever they will tell you, whatever they will disclose to you, that they can trust. They can have your word. They can trust you.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a comment. How to retain the employees, or what is the strategy to retain the employees in startups? So I guess your thoughts on this, Denise, who has
Right.
budget constraints.
Yeah, right. I think this is a very good point. We've talked about a lot of, activities, and obviously activities would require some budget. And if you have some constraint, let's start with the core. How are you communicating your organization's vision, the goals, and the objectives? Engagement doesn't have to mean you're spending money on your employees, but engaging means you are connecting with them, making them part of your vision, and making them part of your goals. So if they know how important what they're doing, it is a form of engagement. And again, the last point of my presentation earlier is also, I understand for startups it's very,
Yeah.
stressful sometimes. They're expected to do a lot of things, different roles as well. Encourage them to take a break and understand that they need that. Respect their boundaries is one way of engaging. You don't have to spend money doing those, and it shows your authenticity. And Ice was saying earlier about trust. With authenticity, you can build trust with your employees as well.
My suggestion on that, if you're having a budget constraint, it should have been brought upfront initially before they go on board. So if I'm in that situation, I'll be upfront to them. We are a startup. We have a specific budget constraints. But I assure you, if you can bring the organization, the company to greater heights, definitely you can trust me. It will be justly rewarded. So I guess being upfront in the first place.
Yeah, setting up expectations so that they will not expect a lot.
Yeah, and I think for startups, you should treat your employees as, some of your partners as well. You grow with them if they provide
Yeah.
good output, you grow with them. And when you guys grow, you can be, you'll be able to reward them as well. But as long as they know the vision and as long as they know the objectives, they will stay engaged, because otherwise they'll be like, I'm not getting this, other companies are providing this. Make them part of your group, make them your teammates, and make them part of that vision in achieving your goals.
Yeah, reward can be in the form of training and development. Yep, it's a good reward as well. So of course, everyone prefers. I don't know. One. I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Everyone prefers, of course, career development.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone needs to grow, of course. There's always room for improvement, for growth, whether it is personal or in career.
Yeah, I think
Now I'm
for
curious. Can
sure.
someone comment down if your company has this? They will sponsor what school you're interested to go in. Can someone comment down for those
Actually, for
who has
Beyond
that
Limits,
benefit?
we
Yeah.
yeah, actually for our company at Beyond Limits, we have this program supporting dreams. As of today, as of this moment, we have two scholars
Oh.
for in our company. Yeah, and another employee engagement for next month. This coming month, we have this Be a Hero, a a charity project. For a specific for beneficiaries that we've chosen, and the employees does really have a great participation on this one. Another one, this is it's like a for a cause.
I'm seeing Govind asking for suggestion. What's your take on this, Denise?
Let
Are
me
are
read
you
the
seeing his
first.
message?
Yeah, I can see it now. Starting at the top, the biggest challenge with remote working is managing projects when your team is spread out multiple locations without. Okay. Okay, I mean, it depends on like what industry you're working on at the moment. So if you're doing a tech industry, you're doing projects, for example, I would suggest that you use some tools. There are some tools that you can, use in order for you to track what everyone else is doing. Keep in mind, right now, we all have BPO companies in the Philippines, and we work successfully with other countries as well because we have the right tools. They don't have to meet all the time. We don't have to be face to face, and we can monitor our work, our projects with the tools that we have. So it can be communication tools. You can set up, meetings that are regular touch points, talk about your milestones as well. And don't worry about, I think it doesn't matter where you are at the moment because we're all in different places, but it's how you communicate and having that, you know, uh, like a one goal that you're all working on is the most important thing. Keeping track of individual tasks is problematic. So I think in that case, you would need to have someone who will kind of project manage your task, someone who is in charge of making sure that this is delivered on time, communicating with the team that this should go first before the second one, and just making sure that everyone is aware of the timeline and making sure that everyone is aware of the deliverables as well.
And I think just to add Set realistic timelines.
Yeah.
That's really important because if you will just give this task or job to that specific person, and then the the timeline is really impossible, they cannot do it. Just set specific realistic timelines.
How? Let me pass this to you, Ice. What's how do you conduct your pulse checks in your BPO company?
Yeah, if you're familiar with the virtual man on the street, it's usually man on the street. You're just typically just asking them casually, how are you today? Did do you have something that bothers you, or how's your work? How's how something like that. It comes up casually. Yeah, just because we're also using Teams through chatting them and all. We're just from time to time we do uh the online kumustahan something like that and all. Yeah, just a casual, because if they want to talk to you, if they trust you, they will tell everything to you.
Right. And I think I also want to add to that, Jean Mark, when it comes to pulse checks, it's not very formal. So
Uh,
people are not intimidated by
Yep.
it. So if you develop that they don't even have to put a lot of details there and they can just put the numbers that they want, or they can put one sentence, that will give you an indication of where they are at. Because sometimes, if you're a boss, especially if it's a big company, people get intimidated. They would just say, I'm fine, I'm happy, and they won't say that they're having issues with the client or they're having issues with their coworkers. But just building that kind of informal way of them expressing how they feel is a good thing. So this should be different from your scheduled one-on-ones.
Yeah, make it casual. Don't
Yeah.
make it too formal.
Yeah.
And I think I have to reiterate this comment previously. So yeah, once more, you have to let your family understand the work from home setup, so it won't be bothersome to your side.
It's hard, Jean Marca. It's very hard to actually train your family that you're working. I mean, if you have kids, how do you tell them that you can't talk to me right now? I'm in a meeting. For them, they want to see you. They get excited, and if you don't pay attention to them, they cry, or they throw tantrums. It's very hard. So I think, explaining that to them and being consistent with the boundaries of what they
Yep.
can and they cannot do is very important, especially in the Philippines. People would ask you, kumain ka na ba? Have you eaten? Let's have dinner now.
While on your meeting, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Or, yeah, and
Actually, someone is asking me right now if they're waiting for us to have dinner right now. So,
okay.
hmm okay. So I am. Are you seeing Aurora real time now, Ice? So I think I'm seeing her uh the bandwidth. Okay. So once more, if you have a message or an advocacy to share, we're inviting you to be our next sharer, like Miss Denise. So even if not you or you know someone, so this is what LinkedIn Local is all about. So once more, thank you everyone. We hope
There's
we
one
have
more
been
question
a
here. I
blessing.
think this
Okay.
is, yeah. How do you measure the success rate of each employee engagement activities?
So it's all about for I think I'm assuming that question is for me, I so I'm gonna answer, right? So when we develop our culture of feedback, we have the data. And it's all about, making sure that you monitor the data that you have. After an activity, what are the pulse checks? How are they feeling after that? What do we need to do? How often do we need to do that? You would have, a sequence that you can follow, a pattern that you can follow after, your employee engagement activities. So it's very important that you start with your culture feedback first before you engage your employees.
That's true. And also, for us, we do an event feedback form. We do that on every each after event, so that we will know on how to improve, where to improve, and there if it was a successful, like if we can rate it from 1 as the lowest and 5 as the highest, something like that. You will know from their comments, from their feedbacks, that it was a success or it was a blast, or or what are the areas for improvement.
Good point.
Okay. So are you still seeing any comments, Ice? Any more comments?
Still
Suggestions?
refreshing.
I think John Mark is eager to eat dinner now.
Yeah, right. He's
No,
already
no.
hungry.
Remember, family work conflict, work family conflict.
Conflict. Yeah, yeah, true, true. Relate, John Mark.
Yeah.
Follow up
uh,
question.
okay.
What if not all of them take the survey? Oh, I think this is
Hmm.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, if not all of them take the survey, just get at least 80%. That's my floor. If not all of them take the survey, just at least 80% of your employees have taken the survey, for you to check if it was a success or not. What do you
Hmm.
think, John Mark and Denise? I think that's for us. The 80%.
I think, even for pulse checks, you also have that risk that people won't be answering or not answering on time. So you have to do a follow up. You have to ask them, like, what's going on? Do you want to chat about this? If you're noticing that there's a pattern, if you're noticing that there's something really off about them, because it's not only the pulse checks that you have, it's an additional, piece of, information that you have. But you can also observe like how they are with their deliverables at work. Are they meeting the deadline? Are they joining the meetings? Are they talking in meetings at all? So those are the ways that we can probably just follow up. Survey is good, and I think you can also incentivize. ICE's company, I think they like incentivizing people, so they can
Yeah.
incentivize people who answers the survey as well. That might be a good way. And
Yeah, we agree.
keeping
I
keep
agree.
yeah, and keeping the survey anonymous is also a
Yeah.
way to encourage people
Yeah.
to, answer. So, yeah, there are different ways.
And also, if you have team leaders and if you have managers, uh, uh also let them also do the follow up, so that they can also engage with their team members.
Absolutely.
One more?
I think this might be a bit too technical to discuss. I'm not part of a bank, and I'm really sorry I won't be able to share anything about the banking organization. I'm not sure about ICE and John Mark though.
For me, totally, I have no idea. I'm sorry about that, honestly.
Okay. Okay.
How about you guys? Any thoughts on that?
I've worked for a bank. However, I haven't encountered this one, because we for every branch of the bank that we
Ah.
have our own employee engagement, like team building and all, and parties, something like that. But I have no idea with the with that one.
For Chimal, my yeah, yeah, definitely. You have this. This really is challenging. With regards to Denise having different nationalities, what's your take on this? On
I think I think as Filipinos, we're very flexible. We've worked with a lot of different, nationalities in the past, but I think one of the challenges is for us to communicate what we're really feeling because there's that sense of intimidation. There's that sense of, holding back our thoughts, and not it's not because we don't want to engage, but because we as a culture we tend to be a bit more reserved than the others. So I think it's more of like two-way kind of relationship. How do you encourage that in your organization? So when I was talking about taking action earlier, I was, talking about getting the right people involved. Because sometimes, you as a manager can only do so much. But if someone like the
Yeah.
president or the vice president can actually, be a cheerleader and champion this idea of everyone, doing a form of engagement, that will be easier for you to have a successful execution. So, if you need to get, more people involved, the right people involved, I think there is a bigger chance for you to be successful in this.
Yeah, that's true. I agree. I agree. Just choose the right. It's like choosing the right people for the right task.
Mm, I think this is the last. Ice, this is the last question. So this.
Yeah, I think it's the last question.
uh, this one goes out from someone younger beside
Oh,
me. Are you serious about this question? Okay. She is. This goes out to Denise. I
wow. Go,
being
go,
an
go.
operations manager of Equus. Did I
Equus
butcher
software.
that right?
Career mistake, which has given me the biggest lesson, would be giving up right away. So I worked for different organizations in the past, and not all the time. One of my challenges is being a Filipina, being a remote worker, not
Yeah.
being in the same headquarters or head office as you know. The organization that I was working for previously, and that would mean sometimes the way you communicate your needs or the way you communicate and ask for things that you need for your employees, for the company to be successful in the Philippines, it's not heard. And there are times that in my past when I was younger, I just gave up easily because no one's listening, right? And right now, that is one of my biggest lessons, being more assertive and persuasive about the way I communicate, because it's not for me, it's for the organization anyway. It's for the people in the Philippines. So always keep that in mind, that whenever there are mistakes and there are failures or challenges, it might be a big thing right now, but when you eventually go over that hurdle, you'll be able to go bounce back and present a better version of yourself and get the results that you need. Did I pass that exam, Jean Mark?
I think you just have to keep moving forward. Whatever it is, just keep moving forward.
That's right.
You're on mute, Joe Mark. I think
Yep.
you're on mute. There.
Okay, so once more, thank you everyone, and good night. We hope we have been a blessing. We hope you have learned something new. So feel free to reach out, most especially to Ice and Aurora. So thank you and goodbye.
Eat
Magandang
well,
gabi
Joe
po sa
Mark. Eat well. Bye,
Good night. Bye
everyone. Thank
bye.
you. Thank you.